"You're not invited to party this year," my mother-in-law Barbara announced with a satisfied smirk, stirring her coffee in my kitchen like she was stirring up trouble. "We're celebrating at our beach house. Family only." I kept arranging cookies on the plate, my hands steady despite the anger bubbling inside. "And I'm not family?" I asked, though I already knew her answer. "Well," she drew out the word, examining her perfectly manicured nails. "Since James passed away last year, you're not technically family anymore, are you?" My name is Emma Collins, and at 34, I was being uninvited from party by the woman who'd spent the last 10 years trying to convince her son he'd married beneath him. James's sudden death in a car accident last year had given her the perfect excuse to finally cut me out completely. "No problem," I replied calmly, offering her the cookies I baked. She declined with a dismissive wave. "I'm glad you understand," Barbara said, standing up. "The beach house has been our family tradition for generations. It wouldn't be right to have outsiders there." As she left, I noticed she deliberately spilled coffee on my new tablecloth. Classic Barbara, always leaving her mark. What she didn't know was that I'd already heard about their party plans through my sister-in-law Kate, who still kept in touch despite her mother's disapproval. More importantly, I knew something Barbara didn't. Their precious beach house was up for sale. The property had belonged to Barbara's brother, Uncle Joe, who'd maintained it for years while Barbara's family enjoyed it for free. But Joe had run into financial troubles and the house had been quietly listed for sale last month. Barbara had no idea. Joe was too embarrassed to tell her. I discovered this by chance while browsing real estate listings. The beautiful Victorian-style beach house, with its wraparound porch and private beach access, was being sold for a fraction of its worth. Uncle Joe needed a quick sale to avoid bankruptcy. That evening, I called my real estate agent. "Jenny, remember that property I asked about? I'm ready to make an offer." "The beach house? Are you sure, Emma? It needs quite a bit of work." I smiled, thinking of all the summers I'd spent there with James, watching Barbara criticize everything from my swimwear to my beach picnics. "I'm sure. Make it a cash offer, slightly above asking. And Jenny? Make sure it's handled discreetly." The next week passed in a blur of paperwork and phone calls. Uncle Joe accepted my offer immediately, grateful for the quick sale and the premium I paid. He only had one request. "Please don't tell Barbara it was you. She'll never forgive me for selling it." I agreed, though I knew the truth would come out eventually. That was part of the plan. As party approached, Barbara's social media was full of posts about the upcoming exclusive family celebration at the beach house. She even tagged me in a few photos of previous years, with captions like "missing our old traditions, but excited for new beginnings with real family only." Kate called me, furious. "Mom's being horrible about this. She's even invited James' ex-girlfriend from college. Said she was more family than you ever were." I listened to her rant, feeling surprisingly calm. "It's fine, Kate, really. I have my own plans for Christmas." Still, she sighed, "It's not right. That house holds so many memories for all of us, including you and James. Mom has no right to erase that." If only she knew. The day before party eve, I received the final paperwork. The beach house was officially mine. I immediately hired a cleaning crew and had the locks changed, but left everything else exactly as it was. Then I waited. Barbara and her entourage would arrive tomorrow afternoon, using the hidden key under the porch planter, a key that no longer worked. They have cars full of food, gifts, and guests, including James's ex-girlfriend, all ready for their perfect family Christmas. I poured myself a glass of wine and looked at the last photo James and I had taken at the beach house. He was laughing, his arm around me, while Barbara scowled in the background. "Wish you could see this, love," I whispered to his smiling face. "Your mother's about to learn a valuable lesson about what family really means. Tomorrow would certainly be interesting. After all, nothing says Merry Christmas quite like finding out your despised daughter-in-law now owns your favorite family gathering spot." The text came at exactly 2:47 p.m. on party eve. "What have you do, honey?" Barbara's message screamed in all caps. I imagined her standing on the porch, surrounded by confused family members, her face turning that particular shade of red I come to know so well over the years. I positioned a discreet security camera by the door, allowing me to watch the scene unfold from the comfort of my home. The footage didn't disappoint. Barbara tried the key 3 times before sending her husband John to check all the windows. Their guests stood awkwardly on the porch, luggage at their feet, while James's ex-girlfriend Amanda kept checking her phone, clearly uncomfortable. My phone rang. "Kate." "Emma," she whispered, trying not to be overheard. "Please tell me you had something to do with this. Mom's having an absolute meltdown." I could hear Barbara in the background, shouting about calling the police and having the vandals arrested. "The locks have been changed," Kate continued. "And there's a note on the door saying all inquiries should be directed to Harrison Property Management." "Really?" I replied innocently. "How interesting." "Oh my God," Kate gasped. "You didn't, did you?" Before I could respond, another call beeped through. "Uncle Joe." "I have to go, Kate. Merry Christmas." Uncle Joe sounded nervous. "Emma, Barbara's been calling me nonstop. She knows I sold the house. But I haven't told her it was you. She's threatening to sue me for selling family property." "Don't worry," I assured him. "You had every right to sell, and I have all the paperwork to prove it was a legal transaction." Let her throw her tantrum. Back on the security feed, I watched as a police car pulled up. Barbara must have actually called them. She gestured wildly, pointing at the door, probably spinning some tale about break-ins and vandalism. The officers looked bored, likely tired of dealing with holiday property disputes. My phone buzzed again. A text from John, my father-in-law. "Emma, we need to talk." Barbara's hysterical. "Whatever your price is, name it." I didn't respond. This wasn't about money. The next text was from Amanda, surprisingly. "I had no idea they were using me to hurt you. I'm so sorry. James would have hated this." She was right. James would have hated seeing his family act this way. He'd always tried to play peacekeeper between his mother and me, often at the cost of his own happiness. Around 4 p.m., a representative from Harrison Property Management arrived, right on schedule. I watched as he explained to the gathered crowd that the property had been legally sold, and the new owner had authorized him to deal with any trespassers. Barbara's voice carried clearly through the security camera. "This is ridiculous. This house has been in our family for generations. We have traditions." "Ma'am," the representative replied calmly, "the property was legally sold by its rightful owner, Mr. Joseph Miller. The new owner has asked that you vacate the premises immediately." One by one, the guests began dragging their luggage back to their cars. The perfect family party was unraveling spectacularly. Kate stayed behind as the others left, and I watched as she walked to the edge of the property, looking out at the ocean. My phone buzzed with her message. "I don't know how you did this, but I'm kind of proud of you. Mom needs to learn she can't treat people this way." Barbara was the last to leave, still threatening lawsuits and screaming about family betrayal. I watched her storm to her car, then pause and turn back to the house. For a moment, her expression changed from anger to something else. Grief, perhaps, or fear. This house represented more than just a party gathering spot. It was her last connection to the power she thought she held over the family. As twilight settled over the beach house, I received one final text from Barbara. "You may think you've won, but you'll never be family. James would be ashamed of you." I looked at the photo of James on my mantle, remembering how he proposed to me on that very beach, despite his mother's objections. How we'd spent every summer there, building our own traditions in spite of Barbara's constant criticism. "No, Barbara," I whispered, pecking my response. "James would be ashamed of you." I pressed send and turned off my phone. Tomorrow was party day, and I had plans for the beach house. Plans that would show Barbara exactly what family really meant. But that would have to wait until morning. For now, I sat back and watched the sunset through my security feed, knowing that somewhere, James was probably laughing at his mother finally getting exactly what she deserved. Party, morning dawned bright and clear. I drove to the beach house early, armed with boxes of decorations and a plan. As I pulled up, I saw Kate waiting in her car. "I figured you'd come," she said, getting out and grabbing a box from her trunk. "Need help decorating?" I smiled, unlocking the door. "How did you know?" "Because I know you," she replied. "And this isn't about revenge, it's about something bigger." Together we spent the morning transforming the beach house. We hung lights, set up a party, tree, and filled the kitchen with the smell of baking cookies, just like James and I used to do. By noon, everything was perfect. Then I sent out the text, not to Barbara, but to everyone else. To Uncle Joe, who'd maintained his house for years while Barbara claimed it as her own. to James's cousins, who'd been excluded from family gatherings because they defended me after his death, to the neighbors who'd watched Barbara's reign of superiority over the years. Party, dinner at the beach house, 4 p.m., everyone welcome. The responses flooded in immediately. People Barbara had hurt, excluded, or dismissed over the years all accepted with enthusiasm. Even Amanda, James's ex-girlfriend, sent a heartfelt message. Can I still come? I'd love to be part of a real family gathering. By 4 p.m., the beach house was filled with laughter and warmth. Uncle Joe brought his famous eggnog, tears in his eyes as he thanked me for preserving the house's spirit. The neighbors brought dishes they'd never dared share at Barbara's exclusive gatherings. James's cousins hung ornaments they'd kept from childhood celebrations before Barbara had deemed them not good enough for family events. Kate circulated photos she found in the house's attic. Pictures from before Barbara's time, when the beach house had been a genuine gathering place for everyone. This is what it was meant to be, she said, showing me a yellowed photo of a crowded party, dinner from decades ago. Around 5 p.m., we heard cars pulling up outside. Through the window, I saw Barbara, John, and their remaining approved family members standing in the driveway, staring at the lights and listening to the laughter spilling from inside. I opened the door before they could knock. Barbara stood there, her carefully applied makeup not quite hiding her sleepless night, clutching a manila envelope I assumed contained legal threats. You can't, she began, but I cut her off. I can, I said firmly. This house was never about ownership, Barbara. It was about family, real family, the kind that welcomes instead of excludes, the kind James believed in. John stepped forward, placing a restraining hand on Barbara's arm. For the first time, he looked at me with something like respect. You're right, he said quietly. We've lost sight of what this place meant. Barbara's hands shook as she gripped her envelope. But our traditions are right here. I gestured behind me, where people were sharing stories, laughing, and making new memories. They're just bigger now, more inclusive. The way they should be. Kate appeared beside me. Mom, enough. Come inside. Be part of this instead of fighting it. For a long moment, Barbara stood frozen. I could see the battle in her eyes. Pride versus loneliness, control versus connection. Finally, her shoulders slumped slightly. James always loved party here, she whispered, so quietly I almost missed it. He did, I agreed, and he loved it most when everyone was welcome. Slowly, reluctantly, Barbara let Kate lead her inside. The manila envelope fell forgotten by the door. As she entered, Uncle Joe raised his glass of eggnog in greeting, and some of the tension left her face. Later that evening, as people mingled and shared dessert, I found Barbara standing by the old fireplace, looking at a photo of James I'd placed on the mantel. You're not going to sell it, are you? She asked, not looking at me. No, I replied, but I am going to change it. This house will be open to everyone who loved James, everyone who believes in what family really means. You're welcome to be part of that, Barbara, but you don't get to control it anymore. She nodded slowly, then reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, worn photo, James as a baby, playing on this very beach. Could we put this up too? I took the photo and placed it next to mine. Of course. That's what family does. As the evening wound down, I watched the sunset from the porch, just as James and I used to do. The house behind me buzzed with conversation and laughter, sounds of genuine joy rather than forced perfection. Kate joined me, handing me a cup of hot chocolate. You know, she said, I think this is exactly what the beach house needed. What we all needed. I smiled, thinking of James. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just making things right. Inside, I could hear Barbara tentatively sharing stories about James's childhood Christmases here. The other guests adding their own memories, weaving together a tapestry of family that was richer and more beautiful than her exclusive gatherings had ever been. This was my victory, not in numbing the house, but in bringing back its heart.